Hey everybody, I am the Wolfman. And now that you've seen my face, we can get back to where the real beauty is. Out here in nature. Today we're doing just walking. I'm going to give you a little explanation on what just walking is. If you don't know how to just walk, pay attention. See, it's not more complicated than it sounds. However, we monkeys, with our monkey minds, have a tendency to make things much more complicated than they need to be. In the words of the lead singer of Cake, some people make life a little tougher than it is. There are 3 types of meditation that I teach, and I gather once a month at the full moon, at sunset, shortly before sunset. I try to time it out so that the walk around Lake DeSoto will end. This isn't Lake DeSoto, by the way. If you've never been, Lake DeSoto is in downtown Lake City. It's a regular paved path, a little more city folk friendly. Anyway, I do try to gather on the day of the full moon, about a half an hour before sunset, to do walking meditation around Lake DeSoto, and you can find information on the next one on my Facebook page, Wolfman Meditation Coaching and Retreats, link in description. That's also where I offer my services as a meditation coach. And I call myself a coach for a specific reason. Yes, I do instruct. I am happy to instruct and coach seasoned meditators with a current practice. However, I'm actually aiming at beginners and people who are rusty and would like to get back into it. That's my target demographic. So if you have never meditated, or you used to meditate, you don't meditate anymore, and you'd like to get back into it, look me up. I can help you. I primarily do seated meditation, but I also do walking meditation. And the walking meditation, at the moment, I am offering for free, like I said, once a month at Lake DeSoto. Nice group gathering. I teach 3 different styles. One of them I call just walking, which I will go over on this video. One of them I call cradling the lotus, which is a focused attention meditation. And one of them I call the stamp of peace, which is a meditation designed to achieve a state of peace. And so, here we are. Me recording this video here in these magical woods, feeling a great sense of deja vu that is telling me to slow down and stop. Let things settle. So, sales pitch complete. Look at these early blooming flowers. I wonder what they are. Look at these magnificent trees. Look at that beauty right there. Ancient. Look at it. And not to be overlooked, look at the care that humans have put into this area. They've made this path without disturbing the beauty of nature. They've made a path that it's convenient to walk upon. And I appreciate that. It's a good location. It's a good location to talk about and perform the just walking meditation. Now, if you think you know how to just walk, you're probably right. The problem is a lot of us walk and We walk and worry. We walk and ponder. We walk and, contemplate. And that's fine. Walk and listen to music. Walk and listen to podcasts. You might be walking and watching or listening to this video right now, and all those things are fine. However, there is an additional benefit to just walking when you walk. As I think the Zen people would say, when you walk, just walk. And so that's what just walking is about. You walk and you don't do anything else. That means you don't pull out your phone, you don't listen to music, you don't speak, and you don't think. When I tell people not to think, a lot of them tell me that they can't not think. Fair enough. Fair enough to feel that way. I don't believe that you actually understand, but I do believe that that's your experience. So let me explain it a little bit. If you are paying attention to everything, all of the sights, all of the sounds, you can hear my voice, you can possibly hear my boots on the path, the wind, the crickets, squirrels and armadillos rustling, maybe traffic and airplanes in the distance, maybe the jingle jangle of the keys hanging from my belt. You can see all the trees and the clouds and the sky. You can smell whatever you can smell. You can feel the weight of your body wherever it's resting, whether it be on the feet or on your butt. You can taste whatever you can taste. And you're not paying attention to any one thing. You're not allowing your attention to collapse down onto any one point. Thoughts are no different than the sound of that bird or squirrel or whatever that is off in the distance. It's another part of the experience. When I say don't think, I mean, in some ways, don't be identified with thinking. Observe your thought as another thing that's happening that you're seeing, that you're observing. You're not thinking the thought, you're witnessing the thought as it goes through your mind. In this state, you don't grab onto the thought. You don't automatically think the next thought in a logical sequence of order. You simply allow the thoughts to pass through. You don't push it away. You don't resist the thought. You don't go, oh no, bad thought. Can't think. No, it's just like, oh, there's a thought, but I'm not thinking it. I'm not thinking. When I refer to you in this sense, I'm talking about the conscious part of you, and I'm also talking about the part of you that is voluntarily controlled. So, if your stomach grumbles, you didn't do that. And if you think a thought that you're not intending to think, you didn't do that. Your mind is producing thoughts the same way your stomach is digesting whatever you've eaten and drank. There's really no difference. And there's no reason why you can't experience it that way through practice. So, don't think, but don't spend any effort on not thinking. In other words, don't force it, don't fight it, just walk. That's what you're doing intentionally. You're just walking. You're paying attention to your entire experience and not allowing it to collapse down onto any one thing. So if a thought goes through your mind, that's just the same as if you hear a woodpecker or a cricket, or an airplane, or if you feel friction between your feet and your socks and your shoes, or any of it. The thoughts just become another part of the experience. Now, That's it. It's pretty simple. It's just walking. There's no specific posture. There's no mantra. And here's the other thing. If you are just walking and you find that you have gotten lost in thought and you don't remember where you came from, where you've been, you realize that you weren't paying attention to your entire experience, you let your attention get collapsed down onto one point unintentionally, well, that's not what we're trying to do. It's not our intention, but it's also kind of a good thing when it happens, because the skill building, the strength training, the strengthening of the skill actually happens when you realize that your attention has gotten away from you and you bring it back to where you want it to be, and you take mastery over your intention you intentionally take master over your attention. That is when you become stronger at the skill of attention mastery. So, with seated meditation, or standing or lying down stationary, I tend to set a timer, and I tend to make sure that during that time there's nothing foreseeable that's going to interrupt me. I'm in a safe space and I've got a amount of time carved out, right? I've made space and I've made time for meditation, so that when my brain goes, hey, don't we need to think about this thing that's coming up, we could say yes after the meditation. As we discussed before the meditation, we are going to just meditate for this time. We already looked at our life and made sure that nothing was going to mess us up during the meditation, and we already have a time scheduled to think about these things. And we'll think about it when it's time, but now it's not time to do that, it's time to meditate. So for stationary meditation, I usually set a timer for that. Another thing that you can do, if you don't like to use a timer, is you can just determine, I'm going to sit here until I want to get up, until I have the urge to get up 3 times. Once I've had the urge to get up 3 times, I will allow myself to get up. That's another way to do it. And then with walking meditation, you can either use a timer, which works well if you're going to walk one direction. So say you want to do walking meditation for 20 minutes and you don't have a loop available that takes 20 minutes to walk. Walk one direction for 10 minutes, your timer goes off, you turn around, you walk the other direction for 10 minutes. 20 minutes total, obviously. That's how I usually do it. Or you can find yourself a loop that is the amount of time that you want to spend walking. Or you don't have to do it by time, you can do it by distance. I'd like to do walking meditation in this park along this loop. Okay, cool. That all works. These are all techniques. So, seated, standing, lying down, walking. You set your time, or you set your markers that let you know when the meditation is over. You set your distance, and you determine that you're not going to do anything but meditate. So for this particular meditation, you're going to walk, and that is all. You walk, and you don't allow your attention to collapse down onto any one thing. And if it does, it's actually a good thing once you realize it, because that is when you have an opportunity to do a repetition to strengthen the skill. And so you say, oh, my attention has been grabbed by a train of thought, by a sound in the distance, whatever. And now I'm going to expand it back out, pay attention to my entire experience. Here are the sights, here are the sounds, here are the feelings, the smells, the taste. And yes, if there are thoughts and emotions, those are there too. This is all part of the experience. None of it gets priority attention. None of it gets ignored. I'm about to stop talking, and then you and I can just enjoy being in the woods together. So let me give you the final piece. When I actually start walking meditation, for this particular style, the last thing that I say out loud is a question and an answer. Now, the answer is two parts. The answer is verbal and then a demonstration. And it sounds like this. How would an enlightened being walk? An enlightened being would walk like this. And then I demonstrate my best impersonation of an enlightened being walking. Give you a hint, it usually involves having a little bit of a smile on my face, and it very rarely involves being in a hurry. So, ask the question, how would an enlightened being walk? Give the answer, an enlightened being would walk like this, and then demonstrate. So without further ado, how would an enlightened being walk? An enlightened being would walk like this. In a moment like this, a being might start to amuse themselves by wondering if they had gotten off the path and then realizing the path was still there. And then they might realize that they had sort of allowed their attention to collapse a little bit and say, oh, interesting. My attention has collapsed onto a fantasy about a story where a man walking in the woods thought that he had lost the path, that he had gotten off the path, but it turned out he was on the path the whole time. At that point, a being might expand their attention back out to all of the sights, all of the sounds, all of the tactile sensations, the smells, and the tastes, the thoughts and the emotions, and not allow it to be collapsed down to any one thing. And they might say to themselves, how would an enlightened being walk? An enlightened being would walk like this. That's been nearly 10 minutes, and here we are at the largest and oldest tree in the area. I'm going to sit down, rest a moment. So, that concludes the walking meditation for today. You can certainly use this technique. Like I said, I teach meditation and I coach it because honestly, once you learn how to do it, there's not a lot to it. But the coaching is useful because the technique is very simple, and then you go out for a long time, meditate, and it takes a long time where you don't need any instruction, you need experience. But if you have a coach, then you know that you're going to be coming back to someone, and someone's going to know whether or not you are practicing, whether or not you're actually going out and getting the experience you need to go along with your knowledge, whether or not the practice is sanding down your rough edges. Is it working? So accountability is part of the value of having a coach. And the other thing is, eventually, if you are doing the practice, which is assisted by having that coach for accountability, you're going to run into something you didn't expect, or maybe something that you did expect. One thing that a lot of people will run into after solid practice for about 6 months is they will meditate properly one day, and they will find that they have no idea whether they're doing it right or not anymore. And then they will come to the coach, and it seems silly, but it's very necessary and helpful, and they'll say, hey, I meditated, I think, and these are the steps that I followed. Am I actually meditating? Am I doing anything? Or am I just twiddling my thumbs? And usually it's, no, you're meditating. You've gotten to that point. This is called doubt. Pay attention to your doubt. What's it like? What's it like to have doubts while you're meditating? But sometimes it turns out the person is actually doing something that is not as skillful as it could be, and a small adjustment will actually help them get more benefit out of the practice. So, if you are interested in having meditation instruction or a coach, I am very happy to teach and very good at it. I have been meditating for decades. I have a curriculum that is very well developed. I practice radical honesty, primarily. I will not lie to you. My second practice is non-judgment, so I will not judge you. And also, I've never met a person who I couldn't help meditate. Met a lot of people with a lot of excuses. I can't meditate because of this for this reason, for that reason. If you want to, I can help you find a way to fit meditation into your life. If you want to reduce your stress, if you want to become familiar with anything, if you want to figure out how to induce a state of inner peace, ecstasy, transcendence, all of these things. You want to strengthen your immune system, if you want to lower your chances of all-cause mortality and extend your life. Meditation can do any of these things. It will not take away the problems in the world, like mosquito bites and bills, but it will give you more space around them so that it's something you can handle. It creates space in your mind. The emotions don't exactly get smaller, the problems don't get smaller, your awareness gets bigger. And in relation to you, the problems don't seem like the end of the world anymore. That is what meditation will do for you. And I can get you there. So, like I said, links in the bio. In person, if you're close enough. Over the internet, if you have access to a cell phone or a laptop with a camera on it. Or really just over the phone if you don't want to do video. I'm happy to do audio is absolutely fine. And if you don't want to pay for it, if you'd like to try it for free, I do the walking meditation at Lake DeSoto once a month. All of this can be found on the Wolfman Meditation and Retreats, Meditation Coaching and Retreats Facebook page, and the link will be, depending on where you're watching this, in the description of the video or the comments or my bio. I'm on Facebook, I'm on TikTok, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, and I'd love to see you. I'd love to walk with you. I would love to help you. Quiet down the parts of your mind that make you suffer. May your hearts be happy. May your minds be clear. May you find satisfaction in all your endeavors. Kon Omne Kon Oyoko.